Hello students, today we are going to discuss about the proteins. You know, proteins are the most abundant biomolecules of the living system. Chief sources of the proteins are milk, cheese, pulses, peanuts, fish, meat, etc. They occur in every part of the body and form the fundamental basis of structure and functions of life. They are also required for the growth and maintenance of the body. And proteins, this is also a polymer which is made up of the amino acids. So first of all, see, we have to know about the amino acids, what are called the amino acids. Amino acids contain one amino group, means NH2 group, and another there will be a CHCOOH group. That means two functional groups are present. One is there the NH2, another is the COOH. Okay. So depending upon the relative position of the amino group with respect to the carboxyl group, the amino acids this can be classified into alpha, beta, gamma, etc., delta, etc., and so on. Only alpha amino acids are obtained on the hydrolysis of protein, and they may contain other functional groups also. That means this is whatever I have written here, this is an example of alpha amino acids. Okay, so all alpha amino acids have trivial names which usually reflect the property of the compound. And see, depending on this R, the amino acids are of different type. If R is here, the R is equal to H, then the structure of the amino acids will be what? The NH2, CH2, COOH. And its name is glycine. Its name is glycine. And it can be represented by the three-letter symbol, that is GLY, and abbreviation for this one-letter code of this acid will be G. One-letter code of this acid will be G. Similarly, if the R is CH3, this R is CH3, then the acids will be here, the CH3, CH, NH2, COOH, and it's known as the alanine, ALA. It's a three-letter symbol, and the letter code will be capital A. So that means, see, the name of actually depending on the R, the different type of amino acids are possible. Something like the glycine, alanine, valine, leucine, etc. Okay. Now we'll be moving to the next part of the amino acids, that is the classification of amino acids. See, depending on the number of acidic and basic group present in the amino acids can be classified as the acidic amino acids, basic amino acids, and neutral amino acids. Let me discuss it once again here, that I have said here that the amino acids general formula is the RCH, NH2, COOH. Now here, in this case, if there is, suppose that COOH is present, one COOH is present, and you know that the NH2 group is an acidic group, and the COOH group is NH2 group is an basic group, and COOH group is an acidic group. So if more acidic group is present than basic group, then the amino acids will be the acidic amino acids. Similarly, if the two NH2 groups are present, then the acids will be basic amino acids. And if only one NH2 and one COOH group is present, so that would be neutral. That means the glycine is an example of a neutral amino acids. Now also see, the amino acids which can be synthesized in the body are known as the non-essential amino acids. Again, it can be classified into the two categories. One is the non-essential amino acids and the other is the essential amino acids. Okay, non-essential amino acid means the amino acids which can be synthesized in the body are known as the non-essential amino acids. On the other hand, those which cannot be synthesized in the body and must be obtained through diet are known as the essential amino acids. So example of the essential amino acids are the valine, leucine, isoleucine, arginine, lysine. These are the example of the essential amino acids. And the non-essential amino acids are actually synthesized in the body automatically. So these are the classification of amino acids. Now you know that the amino acids usually colorless and crystalline solids, and these are actually water soluble, high melting point, and behave like a salts rather than simple amines or carboxylic acids. Okay, this behavior is due to the presence of the both acidic and basic groups in the same molecule. And in aqueous solution, the carboxyl group means, I can show you here that in aqueous solution carboxyl group, there RCH, suppose this is the structure RCH, and then there is the NH2, and what will happen, this carboxyl group will release H plus and it will be accepted by this NH2 and it will be existed as RCH NH3 plus and COO minus. A Juiter ionic form will be there. Juiter ionic form means the both positive and negative ion in the same molecule. Juiter ionic form. That means amino acids can exist in the aqueous solution in the Juiter ionic form. Now I'll be discussing about the structure of proteins. Structure of proteins. Okay. Structure of proteins, see. Actually, you know that the proteins are the polymers of alpha amino acids, and they are connected to each other by the peptide bond or the peptide linkage. And chemically, peptide linkage is an amide form between the COOH group and NH2 group. Okay, so here you see, I have taken one example. Suppose this one is the glycine is combining with the alanine. Then see what will happen. It will remove one molecule of water and it will form a linkage C double bond O NH, and this linkage is known as the peptide linkage. This linkage is known as the peptide linkage. So what I am saying here, that means see, the reaction between two molecules of similar or different amino acids proceeds through the combination of the amine group of one molecule, and the carboxyl group of the other molecules. And see, this results in the elimination of water molecule and formation of a peptide bond, CONH bond, this one. Okay, and see, when carboxyl group of glycine combines with the amino group of alanine, we get a dipeptide. Glycyl alanine. Okay, then if third amino acids to a dipeptide, the product is called a tripeptide then. Okay, and then see, like that the tetrapeptide, pentapeptide and hexapeptide can be formed. So now the next we will be discussing about the classification of proteins. Proteins can be classified into two groups on the basis of their molecular shapes. One is called the fibrous proteins, another is called the globular protein. Fibrous protein means when the polypeptide chains runs like a parallel are held together by the hydrogen and disulfide bond, then the fibrous structure is formed, and such proteins are generally insoluble in water. Some common examples are keratin, and then that means present in hair, wool, silk, etc. Myosin, present in muscles, etc. And then globular protein, the structure, actually this structure results when the chains of the polypeptides coil around to give a spherical shape. And these are usually soluble in water. Insulin and albumins are the common example of globular proteins. Okay, structure and shape of proteins can be studied at 4 different levels. That is primary structure, secondary structure, and quaternary structure. And each level being more complex than previous one. So what I am saying that the structure of the protein can be studied into different level. That the primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure, quaternary structure. And primary structure of proteins may have one or more polypeptide chains. And each polypeptide in a protein has amino acids linked with each other in a specific sequence, and it is this sequence of amino acids that is said to be primary structure of the protein. Just like see, if I draw here, that means the alanine. Suppose alanine is actually combining with the glycine. Okay, alanine is combining with the glycine. Then again see that the alanine is combining with another glycine. That means the glycine, alanine. That means GLYALA and the GLYALA. This is actually the primary structure or the sequence of the amino acids in which it is maintained. That is the primary structure of the proteins. Now we will be moving to the secondary structure of the protein. Refers to the shape in which a long structure of protein refers to the shape in which a long peptide chain can exist. They are found to exist in two different type of structure. One is that the alpha helix structure and the beta plated sheath structure. And these actually structures arises due to the regular folding of the backbone of the polypeptide chain due to the hydrogen bonding between C double bond O NH, etc. Okay, that means alpha helix is the most common ways in which a polypeptide chain forms all possible hydrogen bonds by twisting into a right-handed screw helix with the NH group of each amino acid and the CO group of the actually with the NH group of each amino acid residue hydrogen bonded to the C double bond O of an adjacent turn of the alpha helix. And in the beta pleated sheath structure, what happens here? And in the beta pleated sheath structure, all the polypeptide chains are stretched out to nearly the maximum extension and then laid side by side are held together by the intermolecular hydrogen bond. See, it's stretched at the maximum extension, then the C double bond O NH, there is a hydrogen bond also present, and the structure resembles to the pleated folds of drapery, and therefore is known as the beta pleated sheath structure. And then see, if we move to the tertiary structure of the protein, actually the tertiary structure of proteins represent overall folding the polypeptide chain, that is further folding of the secondary structure. It gives rise to two major molecular shapes. One is the fibrous and the globular, and the main forces which stabilize the 2 degree and 3 degree structure of the proteins are hydrogen bonds, disulfide linkage, and the van der Waals and electrostatic forces of attraction. Similarly, quaternary structures, some of the proteins are composed of 2 or more polypeptide chains referred to as subunits. The spatial arrangement of the subunits with respect to each other is known as the quaternary structure. Okay, now this is about the structure of the protein we have discussed. Next topic we'll be discussing here, that is the denaturation of proteins. What is this denaturation of proteins? Proteins found in a biological system with an unique three-dimensional structure and its biological activity is called a native protein. When a protein in its native form is subjected to physical change, like change in temperature or chemical change, like change in pH, the hydrogen bonds are disturbed, and due to this globules unfold and alpha helix gets uncoiled and protein loses its biological activity, and this is called the denaturation of protein. During denaturation, 2 degree and 3 degree structures are destroyed, but 1 degree structure remains intact. The coagulation of egg white on boiling is a common example of denaturation. Another example, curdling of milk, which is caused due to the formation of lactic acid by the bacteria present in the milk. These are known as the denaturation of protein. So, in this video, we have discussed about the proteins and its structure, and I hope that this video will help you to understand the structure of the proteins, etc. And if you like this video, you are requested to like, share and comment, and do subscribe my channel. That's all. Thank you.